I'm so happy to be spending time with you today, considering I haven't really seen anybody else but my family recently in quarantine. I actually have been going to work, but I was officially off last week from work, so I didn't have to go. I wanted to talk to you about, I recently made 2 patterns from Ready to Sew, and I have been making her patterns pretty much since I started sewing. I think I started sewing for myself March 2018, and the only reason I know that is because that was like my first dress Instagram post, like from forever ago. So I guess it's been like 2 years and a little bit. Before that, I had been sewing for my daughter for just a couple of months, like making her dresses and stuff. But anyways, when I started sewing, I think I made one of her patterns a little bit after I started sewing, maybe like April or May. And I have been making her patterns intermittently for all this time, and I have so many to show you that I thought it'd be cool to do a roundup. She asked me to sew 2 of her patterns that she came out with recently. She came out with a collection of 3, and I picked 2 of them to make, and they are fabulous. They are consistently good. They have so many qualities. The patterns that she puts out have so many qualities that I love. The flow is really easy. And so first I'm going to talk about the 2 patterns that I made and just kind of go through what I liked about them. And the points that I'm going to share are pretty much common between all of the other patterns that I have made from her collection, because she's very consistent and she makes sewing really easy. So I think with this collection she had in mind to make a set of patterns that really just call for simple, easy fabrics to work with, like linen, cotton blends, you know, just things that aren't drapey, a lot of the natural fibers, and that really obviously makes a pattern easier to begin with if it calls for fabrics that are more stable and easier to press, easier to sew. So these are really good beginner patterns that I've made. So let me start talking about the patterns. So the first one I made, I wanted to this is the other one I'll tell you about in a minute. I wanted to tackle the harder one first, but it's really actually easy. So I made this jacket, and it's called the Pekka. P-E-K-K-A, and I'm just gonna put it on so you can see it a little better. All right, so I decided there's 2 views. I decided to make this view even though it's more for the fall, because I really liked the folded over collar, and I really liked the cuffs here that you can roll up. The other one is a little bit more simple. The other view, it has a collar that you don't fold over. It's a little bit skinnier. And it still has big, giant pockets that you can put plenty of things in. And, but it doesn't have, I don't think, quite as long sleeves. Like the sleeves are rolled up here and they're not in the other ones. So, but anyway, it is an amazing jacket. It's lined, fully lined. And never ever in my whole life did I think that I could make a lined jacket in an afternoon. It was crazy. So first of all, you're not finishing any of your seams really, unless you want to pinking shear them or something, because they're all on the inside since you are lining the jacket. So that makes it go a lot quicker. The cotton I was using, this is quilting cotton. She calls for several types of fabrics, but I use quilting cotton. This is Liberty quilting cotton. Pressed beautifully, the seams pressed beautifully open. The lining, you're pressing the seams open as well. And the way that she has you bag the lining is absolutely perfect, and she has a YouTube video as well that you watch basically to do it. So the hem looks great. You can kind of see it upside down here. This is the facing, fits perfectly in there. The sleeves are gorgeous, and she has you like pre-press them, and so they end up just beautiful. So this is the inside, and so you pre-press your actual outside fabric. So basically you've got like your seam in here where you sewed it together, and it just, like when you put it right side out, it just lays perfect. Like, because you've already pre-pressed it. Like, I mean, I did not try that hard to get it to look like this. It just looked like it, like just automatically. So, I mean, everything in here is just so beautiful, and I really did not have to strain. I didn't have to think very hard. I just followed her instructions exactly, and when it got to bagging the lining, it was very simple. Like I said, I followed everything exactly as she stated, and yeah, it looks gorgeous. I love it. And I even put in my little tag here that, oh, I need to clip a string here, but it says secret pajamas, of course, because this jacket is for sure secret pajamas. The fabric choice, like I said, this was Liberty. This is a shirting cotton from the fabric store online in Australia. And I really liked this choice. I was a little hesitant to pick it because it's not a rayon or like a poly shiny lining that's really slinky and slippery. It's not even a cotton lawn. It's actually thicker than a cotton lawn. A cotton lawn can be a good lining too sometimes. So I was a little bit worried about it, but it kind of just adds to the warmth. And I mean, this jacket is like way big enough for me. It's not too big, but it's not fitted really at all. Like, it's got plenty of room. It's very comfortable. So my arms have no problem sliding in and out of this fabric, and I knew it wouldn't really be an issue. If I really was worried, I guess I could have made the sleeves, the lining for the sleeves out of some different fabric. But the pattern has such drop sleeves that they wouldn't start until, you can see this on the outside as well. See how the sleeve doesn't really start till here because the shoulder just comes down all the way here. So the sleeves don't really start until later. So because there's like an outside part here, and it's like forming part of the sleeve, and then the sleeve actually starts here. Anyway, you'll see. We'll put up a line drawing so you can see it. But anyway, made this in an afternoon. I had cut it out the day before, and cutting it out is very self-explanatory. The lining pieces are really easy, yeah, it was so easy, you guys. And she's made a quilted version that I really love, and I want to try that as well whenever it gets a little bit cooler. And I also have some quilted fabric that is beautiful, and I don't know if I have enough, but it is red and a couple of different colors, and I really want to try it with that. Let me see if I can get it so I can show you. Okay, successfully got it out without knocking down everything. So here it is. It's gorgeous. It's like hand quilted and stitched. So I think this would be awesome as that jacket, but I'm waiting a little bit because I kind of probably need more solid colors in my life right now. And so I might wait a little bit to make this, but yeah, I definitely should have enough because I have 3 yards. It's 44 inches wide, but I think that's enough. Okay, so I'm going to show you some pictures of that jacket so that you can see it on, and so I'll be right back. Next pattern that I'm going to talk about are these beautiful like overalls. They're called the Patsy overalls, or the Patsy, and they have pockets in the front, pockets in the back. Here they are, and I made them out of this cotton linen. And the best thing about these is fitting is really not an issue because you do need to think about your hips, there's a lot of room, but it's not an excessive amount of room. So that's good because it's not like super wide. I'm not like floating in them. They are not fitted, but I think your hip size or hip measurement is the thing you need to be most conscious about, because that is the only area that really matters as far as size goes. The height is really not an issue because, as you can see, it's just this string that this tie that you've made from your fabric, and like the more, this is the front, and the more nope, that's the back, sorry. This is the front. Anyways, the more that I need to put a tag on this, don't I? The more that I pull this, the more length it provides me. So, and if I untie this and I retie it to be a little bit longer, it also provides more length. So it's really adjustable, which is nice. You can pull this back out and it'll make it shorter, and you can also hem it as short as you want. I also found that that this area, the bottom area, the hip area, and the crotch area was long enough. Sometimes I've made some of her patterns that are jumpsuits and I have to add maybe a little bit of length because I have a long torso. But in this pattern, it really wasn't an issue because, like I said, I could adjust everything here. This pattern was super easy to make. This little tunnel, the way she makes it is just genius. It's so easy. Like, I was going to talk about this later, but I can talk about it now. But whenever you make her patterns, you feel like you're not doing anything twice. Like, everything is for a reason, and it's like you're killing two birds with one stone every time you make a stitch. Like, it's like everything that things that could be put into 3 steps are put into 1, and I really appreciate that. Love the flow. And basically the way she makes these tunnels is you make them while you're sewing on the facing. So it's like you're already doing something you have to do anyway, and you're just like incorporating it into that. And so it's just so good. The other thing I appreciate with this pattern is that this tie is not a tie that you have to turn inside out. So I don't like turning anything inside out that is this size or smaller because it's so difficult, especially if it's really long, and this tie is really long. So I was already planning on just doing like a double fold bias binding type of technique before I even saw her instructions, because I did not want to have to turn this inside out or right side out. But that was her technique, and so that just is another reason why I love her patterns, because this is the way to do it that makes the most sense, by basically folding it in to meet each other in the middle, and then folding it in again, kind of like a double fold bias binding, and then sewing that edge down. This is the way that makes the most sense, and it's the easiest. So I am like, she proved it once again that I love the way that she makes all of her patterns. Now that I've finished talking about the overalls, I will show you a couple of pictures that we took in them so you can see what they look like. Another thing I love about her patterns is that whenever you are thinking about what edges need to be finished, the problems that you can run into are you're sewing a seam, you sew it together, and then it says press the seams open. Well, if the edges aren't finished, then you gotta either serge them together or finish them together, or you can try to serge them separately, which is pretty difficult after they're sewn, depending on the seam allowance. And then if you serge them together, you can't press them open. So to me, it's like a really big headache. And when I was first starting to sew, that was the most frustrating thing to me, because I would ask people and I'm like, some patterns don't even talk about finishing your seams like in the steps. It's like just something they say at the beginning. And I just so appreciate, it is so easy for pattern companies to put this in their patterns, and I so appreciate it, and I know a lot of other people do too, when they just kind of guide you of like when to finish your seams. Like they don't have to tell you exactly how, but just say, okay, finish these together, or finish your seams before you sew this seam, because then you're gonna have to press it open basically. And that's what she does. And a lot of other pattern makers do that as well. So she's not the only one, but I really appreciate that. And I also like doing it in the very beginning, because when I'm starting a project, a lot of times I'll do things in steps. I don't know about you guys, but like sometimes I'll just cut out the pattern and that's it. Like I'm done for the day. I'm gonna move on to something else. I'll go help with dinner, which my husband would laugh because he mostly cooks and he doesn't really let me go in there, but I do anyways. I just start the dishes. But go spend time with the family, go watch a movie, whatever we're doing at the time, go ride a bike, you know, whatever. I've cut my pattern out, so I feel good. I've done a step. Then another thing I'll do is I will change my thread. So I'll change I pretty much try to match all my serger thread now. And so I change my serger thread. I'll put the thread that matches the project in the machine, put the right needle, done. Now I feel so much closer to my project. Like I've done that. It's not, you know, it's not something I have to think about later. And then I will, a lot of times cut out the interfacing for a project as well when I'm cutting out the project. So I do that as well. And then the next thing I'll do is finish my seams. So once I have my serger thread in, I can finish all my seams. And then it's like whenever I'm ready to sew, I'm actually ready to start the project. The seams are finished. A lot of times I'll iron my interfacing on as well. And it's like all that fiddly stuff that I don't really love doing is done, and then I can just start sewing, like flat out just start. And so I will do patterns in stages like that sometimes, especially if I'm really busy, because each of those steps is only like 10 to 15 minutes. Well, cutting the pattern out takes a little longer, but the changing of thread and stuff is a lot shorter. So anyway, long story short, I love how she includes that in her pattern. The other thing is that's really cool in her patterns is she always has like a playlist. So her PDFs have clickable links, and so in the beginning of the pattern she's like, check out this playlist for when you make this garment. And I think that is so much fun because it's like the music that she has thought of when she makes the garment, and it's something that she thinks kind of goes with like the theme of what you're making. And like to me that is the coolest, and I love clicking on it and seeing what music is playing, and I do listen to it a lot of times like on a loop. So I really love that. She usually has either a sew along or a blog post that kind of goes into a pattern a little bit in a little bit more depth. If there's any kind of sizing issue or grading issue that she thinks the pattern might have, or bust adjustments or anything like that, a lot of times she will include that in a blog post, and so you have like really good references for a lot of her patterns. I am 99% sure that most of her patterns, or a lot of them, come in French, English, and Spanish. I know the later ones have been coming in Spanish for sure. And the French, I mean, the English is very good. Like, it's not lost in translation or anything like that. Like, it's perfect. It's just like a regular pattern that I'm reading. What else? Oh, the sizing. So some of her patterns have more just, have less sizes, but some of the newer ones have like more like half sizes. So she'll have like a 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, not just like a 36 and a 38. And that helps a lot because I was in between her size ranges for a while. And so having that middle size range helps a ton when it comes to that kind of stuff. And she always has like grading advice in the pattern as well if you're going in between two different sizes. But yeah, so I have been making her patterns for a while. I find that they are really wearable, and what I mean by that is that I pick them up to wear them way more than a lot of other things I make because they make me feel cute and different and unique, but they're also comfortable. So, and they go with more like casual things. So I find that I pick them up and I wear them just like over and over. Like I just wear them out, and that kind of brings me back to making her patterns all the time. I love a lot of independent pattern companies, a lot. I really love having a wide collection from all different kinds of companies, but I keep coming back to hers over and over, so I wanted to highlight them because there's so many things I love about them, and I wanted to use this opportunity to show you a slideshow of all the patterns I've made from her over the past like 2 years, and there are a lot, and it's a lot of makes, and there are a lot of makes that I'm proud of, and so I wanted to share them and share the pictures with you so you could admire them, hopefully. Some of them are a bit old, so the pictures look a little bit different, and they probably are not perfect garments because they were more when I was just starting. So I will put up the hashtags for them, and that way you can see what they look like on Instagram. You could type in the hashtag and look at what other people have made, and you can go ahead and look on her website for the pattern as well, just by searching the name of it. And so yeah, so this is not sponsored or anything like that. I was not asked to do this. I was asked to make those 2 patterns and review them, which I have on my blog, but this is just, I had so much to talk about all of these patterns and all the patterns I've made in the past from her company. And so I thought it would make a good YouTube video. And I wanted to share it with you guys because I love it when I get introduced to new pattern companies, because there's so much untapped potential and creativity that is just everywhere, and it's hard to find it unless somebody introduces it to you. So I am constantly admiring and finding new companies and new people to admire and make patterns from. So one day I will be doing an independent pattern company roundup, but it is very daunting to think about that because there are so many that I love. And it will never be an exhaustive list because I could never do that. That would be like a 5-hour long video. So I will probably highlight some of the ones that I've made, like the patterns that I have really made a lot of from those companies and have a lot of experience with. Those probably will be the ones that I will highlight. Even though I like a ton of them, I just haven't made, I bought them, but I haven't made them from everybody. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry about all the rambling on. We will get straight to the slideshow now. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Helps more people find it. And please leave me a comment if you have any questions about any of the patterns in the slideshow or any of the patterns that I talked about. Let me know if you guys have any pattern companies that you want to highlight. Like I said, I'll be doing a roundup video at some point, but if there are some pattern companies that you've made like 20 items from that you're just obsessed with everything they do, I would love to hear about them so I can find them as well. And yeah, if you really love this video, just hit the subscribe button down below so you can be notified when I have another video. And that's all for today. Enjoy the slideshow. Bye! I wanted to highlight this one. Uh-oh. Yes, I'm videoing. What do you want? No, tell me.